Hi everyone, welcome back to Tool Talk. My name is Sharon and I'm here to walk you through some of my totally favorite tools of all time. I tend to focus on tools that save you a lot of time in your production work, and I also tend to focus on tools that maybe you've been trying to decide whether or not they'll be super useful for you in your jewelry production, and I take you through what some of them have done for me. So today I'm going to talk to you about all of my, well, not all of my favorite, one of my top favorite flex shaft tools, and that's these 3M bristle wheels. So before anybody asks, I actually don't take corporate sponsorship for anything. I just really love these tools so much. So thank you 3M for making these. They come in different grits. So this is like a super gritty grit. That's a technical term for it. This is a little less gritty, and then they go all the way through, and you can get everything from, I think, like the equivalent of like a 190 grit sandpaper all the way up through rouge and tripoli, and and every step in between. So if you do a lot of finishing at your flex shaft, these are super handy. Now, I will say that I discovered these kind of early on, thanks to a metalsmithing instructor, because I was really frustrated. Even early in my jewelry career, I really liked making shapes that were super textured or kind of rounded and kind of organic shaped. And the traditional ways of finishing involve things like using a flat sided file. And when you're trying to do a more organic or rounded shape, the files are great for getting into like some little places, but they tend to leave more flat spots that then you have to go back in and clean up because you're trying to make something that looks rounded and organic. And same with the sandpaper too. It was leaving too many like flat planes on my very rounded organic work. I'll try if I can to throw up a picture of something that I was trying to work on really early on, where I was like, the flat spots just aren't really working for me. I need it to be rounded. And one of the things that I found early on is that these tools work really great on rounded surfaces. All of these bristles can really like nestle in and like get around all of the rounded spots without leaving those flat planes and do a really great, efficient job of cleaning up. Now, I will also say 3M, I believe, also makes these if you have a polishing lathe. I don't. I've actually always just finished everything at my bench. I've never had a polishing lathe, but my understanding is that those are great as well. I just personally don't have any experience using them. But I've always just used them at my flex shaft, and I think they're wonderful. You'll also notice, you might have already noticed, here, let me get this kind of close up. This one's a little bit larger than this one, so they do come in two different sizes. It's really personal preference as to what you like and what your pieces are like that you're working on. So I'm going to show you just really quick how this actually functions on a piece of silver. I am, as always, going to put on my safety goggles. These also happen to have some magnification in them, which helps me because I'm older and I need magnification to see small things. One of the reasons why you definitely want to use it, I mean, you always want to use safety goggles when you're working with your flex shaft, but one of the big reasons is that the only downside I would say to these bristles is that they do have a tendency to catch on things. So, for instance, I might try to show you how I would clean up this, but you can see like there's a lot of opportunities for this to catch and for this to go flying. So, you do want to make sure that you've got a grip with whichever your non dominant hand is. So, I'm right handed, so I use this in my right hand. I'll be squeezing this tight with my left so that it doesn't go flying. Same standard applies when you're working at a polishing lathe. You definitely want to keep a strong grip. If you need to use alligator tape or leather or whatever you need to use to keep a strong grip, please do so. But just be aware that because of these bristles, they do tend to catch on jewelry, and you just want to be really careful. And that is why we always tie our hair back if you have long hair, especially longer than your chin. And that's all why we also always wear safety goggles in the jewelry studio. So that's my safety mention for the day. Please be safe in your studio. I'm going to take a moment. I'm going to flip the camera down so that I can show you what it looks like when you're polishing with these. So one of the things that I really like about this tool, so if you've taken my flush setting course before, you know that when you flush set, sometimes you slip with the tool and you get a little scratch on your flush set piece. let me see if I can get you to focus up close here. So you might be able to tell. Sorry, this is going to take a moment. So you might be able to see this has a little bit of a brushed finish on it already. Enjoy my jeweler's manicure up close, but you can see too that I've got a little bit of a scratch around that edge of the stone there. And I want this to have a nice matte brushed finish later. So this, the white wheels, forgive me, I don't remember the exact grid off the top of my head, but it is in the hundreds somewhere, possibly even as low as 80. So I'm just going to go through. What I'm going for here is something that's kind of like a satin brushed finish. And the thing is, you can use these in exactly the same way that you would sandpaper, in that you can go from like the hardest grit, which is what I'm using here, and you can go up through all of the other grits, working in opposition just like you do with sandpaper, but you know, this is a little faster. And I should mention, you are removing metal with this, so you don't want to trash these when you're done. You definitely want to put them into whatever refining box you use. So these don't just go in the trash. There's actually like metal stuck in here. So this is refinable. And you can see it's like it's on a rounded surface, and even if I'm, you know, kind of going at it in the same spot, what I'm not getting are those flat planes. I'm still maintaining the smoothness and roundness of the ring, which is totally what I'm aiming for here. So I'm just going to check my work a moment and see if I can focus you back in. Focus. There we go. You can see, you know, now that's a much more refined matte finish, and it took off some of the scratches from around. And the other thing I like about these is that they don't really leave the same residue that actual polishing compounds would leave. So there's no need for me to toss this into the ultrasonic once I'm done polishing it. It's just, you know, done, which is great. And if I wanted to, I could take it up through all of the next levels. This one's like a pumice, so this one's sort of like a medium. You can tell that I use this one the most. I'm actually probably pretty ready to replace the little guys on here. But that's what I use the 3M bristle wheels for, is I use it to finish almost all of my jewelry, to give it either a satin or a shiny finish. I could take it all the way up to, oh, well, gosh, now I've used this one a whole heck of a lot now, but I think this is the equivalent of Triple E, but this is the peach wheel. But this is what I really love using them for, keeping that nice rounded surface, not getting any planes or flat spots. I'll try to throw up a picture of the super rounded pieces that I used to make, that I was trying to use these for in the first place, but these have been a mainstay of my jewelry making career for about 15 years now. And I would probably never go back to using like regular polishing compound after using these. Nothing wrong if you do. Once again, Tool Talk is a super non-judgmental zone. You should use whatever works, but I really just wanted to demo these here for you today. So that you can see why I've loved these for as long as I have, because I think that they're just a really great, versatile tool to use. Okay, well, that's done. Thanks once again for joining me for Tool Talk. I hope that you learned a little bit more today about how the 3M bristle wheels work for you. As always, I don't take corporate sponsorship to do any of this. The companies that make these products are not paying me. I just really, really love them and find them super useful in my jewelry making. And I hope that it helps you figure out what kind of tools that you should get for your jewelry making. As always, if you find value in these Tool Talk videos or any of the videos that I post on YouTube, please do subscribe to my YouTube channel. And also, if you find value in what I do have a patronage plan, and you'll find it down below in the description section. And feel free to contribute. And I hope to see you all again for another episode of Tool Talk. Thanks so much for joining me.